Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the incredibly ambitious and inspiring philosophy of P.R. Sarkar, which he called Universal Humanism. It's nothing short of a blueprint for a new world, one built on a foundation of spiritual depth, social justice, and a really radical sense of unity.
So, where do we even begin with something this huge? Well, the best place to start is actually right in the book's own dedication. It just perfectly captures the spirit of this whole philosophy, this deep reverence for people who think beyond themselves, who honor others. This simple idea really is the bedrock for everything we're about to explore. To really get a grip on Sarkar's grand vision for society, we've actually got to start small, really small. In fact, we need to look inward, into our own minds. His entire philosophy is built on this fascinating model of what human consciousness even is.
So Sarkar maps out this incredible journey of how our sense of self even comes to be. It's not just one thing, you know? He sees it as this flow. It all starts with this pure witnessing awareness. He calls it the Atman, that then develops into this simple feeling of I exist. From there, it becomes the I that does things, that makes decisions, and finally, it becomes the part of our mind that actually interacts with the world. It's a whole journey, from pure consciousness to our lived everyday experience.
And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. This idea leads to a truly foundational insight, that our individual consciousness, our Atman, is ultimately just a reflection of one single, massive, universal consciousness. What this means is that at our very core, every single one of us is connected. We're all part of the same cosmic fabric.
Okay, so now here's where things get really interesting. This is where the philosophy makes this huge leap from our inner world right into our social reality. Sarkar argues that if we're all spiritually one, then all these physical divisions we build our societies on, well, by definition, they have to be superficial. You know, we look around and we see so much diversity. Skin color, the shape of our noses, and we often build entire identities around these things. But Sarkar's point is that we get hung up on them. He says they're just surface-level adaptations to things like climate and geography. But underneath all that, our fundamental human experiences, love, pain, hunger, joy, they're exactly the same for everyone. They're universal.
And this quote just illustrates it so perfectly. The love a mother feels for her child is a universal language. It doesn't matter what your culture is, your level of education, or where you live. Sarkar calls this the deep subterranean flow of human feeling, and it's the proof of our fundamental unity.
So, based on all of this, Sarkar draws a really powerful line in the sand. Any ideology built on racial purity or supremacy, it's not just morally wrong, it's just false. Scientifically, ethnologically, it doesn't hold up. We are and have always been one single, indivisible human family, period.
Okay, so if we're all one big family, why is the world so full of conflict and division? Well, Sarkar says it's because of the mental walls we build ourselves, the barriers that keep us apart.
His diagnosis is that we get trapped by these things he calls limited sentiments. Think of them like narrow loyalties. Loyalty just to your country, that's geo-sentiment. Loyalty just to your social group or religion, that's socio-sentiment. And hey, even loyalty just to human beings at the expense of every other living thing, that's a limited sentiment too. He says these act like walls and they blind us to the bigger picture. And he takes this critique and applies it to our political and economic systems too. He sees a lot of them as just superficial fixes. This idea of golden plaster is such a great metaphor, isn't it? Something that looks shiny and nice on the surface, but it's not actually strong enough to fix the deep cracks underneath.
And he offers a pretty sharp critique of how dogmatic ideologies, especially in religion, can become a huge source of division. By demanding blind faith instead of rational thought, he argues, they can basically stop progress in its tracks, turning that flowing river of humanity into a stagnant pool and making us forget that we all share the same spiritual source.
So, after diagnosing all these problems, Sarkar doesn't just leave us there in despair. Nope. He proposes a solution, and believe me, it is a powerful one. It's all about a radical expansion of our hearts and our minds. The solution he offers is this profound evolution in our thinking. We move beyond regular humanism to what he calls Neohumanism.
And this isn't just about loving other people. It's a rational, but also deeply felt love for everything. Every animal, every plant, the entire cosmos. Recognizing that all of it is an expression of that one universal consciousness.
And this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky idea. To make it real, Sarkar developed a super practical socio-economic framework called PROUT. That's Progressive Utilization Theory. It's literally the blueprint for how you would actually build a society based on these neo-humanistic principles of universal love and justice.
So this whole philosophy, it builds into this really concrete vision for a brand new kind of civilization. One that's designed for the well-being of all, not just a chosen few.
The principles of PROUT are both incredibly compassionate and really practical. The starting point, the absolute foundation, is guaranteeing the basic necessities of life for every single person: food, housing, healthcare, education. From there, it's about rationally distributing resources to shrink that gap between the rich and the poor, all while making sure our collective potential, both human and natural, is used for the good of everyone. And this is all built on a decentralized economy of strong, self-sufficient communities.
So who leads this new kind of society? It's not your typical politicians. Sarkar introduces this concept of Sadvipras. You can think of them as spiritual revolutionaries. These are leaders who have it all: courage, a sharp intellect, and a deep moral and spiritual compass. They're dedicated to fighting exploitation and guiding society from a place of real wisdom. This vision, you can see, requires a complete transformation of society as we know it. It's calling for fundamental justice, things like full gender equality and getting rid of harmful customs. It champions a new kind of society where education is free and universal, and where the legal system focuses on correcting people, not just punishing them. And on a global scale, it even imagines a world government to protect our rights and make sure we're all in this together.
And that brings us to a really key number 6. Sarkar believed that for any civilization to really work and be stable long-term, it needs to balance these 6 essential pillars. This includes everything from a unifying spiritual ideology and social outlook to a just social structure. If any one of these is out of whack, he argued, that society is just headed for trouble.
And all of this leads to a pretty profound final thought. Sarkar's whole philosophy is basically asking us to consider, what if building a better world isn't just about new laws and new buildings? What if the real revolution has to be an internal one, an expansion of our own consciousness, our compassion, and our character? Ultimately, Universal Humanism is this powerful, powerful call to action. It's urging us to look past our differences, to really feel our deep connection to everything and everyone, and to finally build a future that's worthy of our shared cosmic origin.